All right, I'm back. It's Scott, the Skincare Sherpa, and I am your guide to starting and growing a successful skincare brand. And even though I say skincare brand, this information will be helpful if you're starting not just a skincare brand, but a skincare, hair care, body care, or pet care brand. That's the goal behind this. For you to look over my shoulder, see what I'm doing, watch me grow in public on these videos in hopes that you can do the same thing to successfully launch your skincare, hair care, body care, or pet care brand. I'm your guide. As I said, we're climbing this mountain together, the virtual Mount Everest of skincare brands, and hopefully it'll be a lot less cold, a lot less strenuous. There'll be a little bit more air and all those things that they don't have on Mount Everest, that we don't have to worry about climbing this mountain. So today I wanted to pick up where I left off on the last recording. I talked about getting the logo designed. And one thing that I did want to point out, that I'm making these recordings practically daily, letting you watch what I'm doing. And in this process, I'm going back now, talking about what I have done previously and what I am currently doing. But just because I'm doing these things in succession, meaning every day, doesn't mean that you need to do all of this in as quickly as I'm doing it. I'm going back and recapping. So doesn't make sense for you to try to get your logo designed yesterday and then today worry about the label design, what we're talking about today. These are things that need to happen over weeks and weeks and weeks of time. The logo design could take a week or two. The packaging design before that could take a week or two. Finding a manufacturer could take a week or two. There's no rush to getting it all done. There's no timeline. I mean, you want to get things done as quickly as possible because, they say money loves speed, and when you have a great idea, you want to get it out there as quickly as possible and help as many people as possible as quickly as possible. But don't think that you're behind just because you haven't figured out the logo or the packaging or anything like that. And I would recommend, don't make these videos, these recordings, just something that you just consume and don't do anything with. Really, you should watch a video and then take a week or two, like I said, to execute, and then watch the next video and take another week or two to execute, because you do not want to just be consuming information and then not do anything about it, or not do anything with it, or just become overwhelmed realizing how much stuff needs to be done. So what I tell people, just do what you can do, and it can take as long as it needs to take, as long as you're putting one foot in front of the other. Just make sure that I tell people, what's the least that you can do without doing nothing, basically. Don't do nothing. What's the least that you can do? You can look up a manufacturer. You can reach out to a manufacturer, maybe schedule a time on their calendar. You can look up on Fiverr for packaging design. You can start to think about or sketching out some logos. There's little things that you can do that will keep on being step, baby steps towards your goal of launching the skincare brand. So just remember, I'm going through these videos quickly, but these are all things that took me weeks and months to do. So don't feel like you're getting behind just because you're not keeping up with me. With that, let's jump into our label design. So I will go here to one of my favorite places, Fiverr, to get a lot of things done here on Fiverr, and you can get them done for fairly cheap as well if you want to do this yourself. But here in Fiverr, I'm going to look up label design, and let's see what comes up. So here a bunch of different gigs come up. They're similar to the logo design one, where you can pick the under 25, pick by price range, 25 to 50, 50 to 75, above 75. And so I'm just going to take a look here, and let's take a look at this one just to see what they're all about. I'll do product label design and product label packaging. So here I like them They had done over 1,000. They had over 1,000 reviews, and here it just is 4,100. 63 orders in queue. That lets me know that they may be a little bit backed up, but they'll still get it done, I'm sure. And it seems quite popular. And then when you go through their portfolio here, it looks really good. I like it, and I can see why people would want to work with this person. There seem to be a lot of supplement ones, but if they can do a supplement label, they can typically do a skincare label as well. But so what you get on this one, just make sure you check here. You get the print ready file, because that's what you're definitely going to need. And you just check and see what you get here for $40. If you move to the standard package, you get a few more things. And here on the premium package, you get several more things. And so just depending on your budget, you can pick one of these packages, and I'm sure it would work out for you. Another one here, so let's just scroll just to take a look. It's all kinds of great gigs being offered here. This one looks like it's more skincare related, so you can always reach out. There's a way here, so if you're here in this gig, again, check the basic, standard, and premium, the number of reviews, the number of orders in queue. But here, there's a place here where you can contact the designer. And so I'll often click on that, just tell them what I'm trying to do, see what they recommend, and if they think they'd be good at it. And if they are, they'll usually send me a custom offer they'll say, hey, yeah, what you're trying to do is going to be under my standard package. So here's a custom offer, and it'll just be a custom offer that comes in the messages, and it'll be for $30, and I just pay it and keep working and keep moving forward. So I really like Fiverr for a design. The other thing is that, let me go here. So here is an example of my very first label, and you'll see it's not very fancy or anything like that. And so this was the label when I had my first product, the vitamin C serum. It was the company that I private labeled it from had this template basically already made, because they were using it to sell their products. And so I didn't even have to get a label designed for this one, because the label was already made. So all we did on this template was to add my company information down here at the bottom and change some of these details at the end of the ingredients, because it has to have my company information here. And I'll talk to you about that here in a minute. But this one was super easy. I didn't require any design. I didn't have to reach out to anybody for help. Basically, this was their label that they were using. I slapped my logo on it, and these were printed also in-house. Didn't have to go out to a label printer for that, which made it really easy. So I could just get 10, 15, 20 of them made like this, and it made things considerably easier for me. So if you go this route to try to private label something at the beginning, make sure you check with the company. They likely have labels, templates already made, and then you don't have to do the design process, at least to start, while you're just trying to test out your idea. And so this, I've mentioned in the past that I started out with the vitamin C serum, and then I wound up moving on to the vitamin E. So this was the first label that I had designed from Fiverr. And I'll go over all these elements with you here. But it's pretty basic. It doesn't have anything, it's not anything special, just this E, the name, some details here. And this is something that I started with that was good enough to get me started. I'm always saying good is good enough. At times I try to be a perfectionist about things and make sure that it looks just right in that, but what's more important is getting something out there, minimum viable product, getting it out there, seeing if people are going to buy it, and then you can always make changes later. So I will just go through some of these. Let me bring this document up. And this is the FDA label requirements. And I'll just go through this quickly so that you make sure that these elements are included on your label. And these are the things that I had to make sure were on my label. It needs to make sure it has the name of the product, the net quantity, so how much 1 fluid ounce, half a fluid ounce, 2 fluid ounces, the suggested use for safe use, that's the directions, any warnings, an ingredient list, business information, and expiration date or graphic. You need to make sure when you list the ingredients that the ingredients are in weight order from heaviest to lightest and under the most commonly accepted industry standard names. This is a little boring, but you need to just make sure you have all of these items on there just to be sure you don't have any problems with the FDA. And so here in weight order, or heaviest to lightest, means the ingredients that are in there the most, for the most concentration. So in this example here, in my ingredients list, the most in this formula, the vitamin E oil was the most, then the rice bran oil was the second most concentration, then the avocado oil. And so you just make sure you go from most to least. So the Palmarosa essential oil was the least in the formula. So you can't just put the order any kind of way. It has to be specific to what's the most down to the least. And then the products that require a warning and or suggested use for safe use must have the information displayed in a noticeable and prominent way. If there's more than one label, the required information must be on the principal display panel. The label most likely to be shown under customary conditions for sale. So sometimes there's 2 labels on a product, or a smaller one and a bigger one, and they just want to make sure that it's the one that people are going to see. And lastly, the label has to be large enough that the required information is prominently displayed in a type size that is easy to read. So it cannot be in the font that's appropriate for an ant. It has to be something that people can read. So I will get that out of the way just so I can talk to you about how it looks here on this product. Actually, I will move to the next one because just to show you what I moved on to. So I'll make this a little bigger. And so for this label here, you'll notice it's just a little bit different. I wound up changing out that graphic here and put in health priority natural products, because on that image it just had the E there. It didn't have my brand anywhere on there. And so I wanted to start branding it, but these are all things that came down the line. These are not things that I started out with. And so it just shows you that you can make changes along the way with no problem. At first I just wanted to get something simple out there, and then later I realized, hey, there's no product out there that doesn't have its brand on it. So even though it's on the side on that other one, I wanted to make sure it was prominent here in the front. But just to go over a few things, so the name of the product is something that's required. So that's here, vitamin E Enhance is the name of the product. The net quantity of the contents is here. Half a fluid ounce is the same as 15 milliliters. And so if you do something that's 1 fluid ounce, that's going to be 30 milliliters there. Suggested use for safe use, that is here. Suggested use, also called directions. And so just make sure that that's included. Any warnings? I don't have any warnings on here, so sometimes you would need a warning not to be used if pregnant or breastfeeding, not to be used in direct sunlight. People need to know when they should and should not use the product. And then an ingredient list, so that's here we talked about earlier, the ingredient list, and then the business information. So for the business information, you need to at least have the city, the state, and the zip where your company is, and then a way for someone to contact you if they needed to. And so this is our contact information here, as well as it's always a good idea to have the website on there, because if people want to reorder, you want to make it easy for people, or if they have any questions, you want to give them a place that they can find you. And so it just makes it look more legit when you have a website on here and a way for people to contact you. And you may be wondering why I have this UK address on here. That's because the product was being sold in the UK and in Europe as well. And instead of having different labels made for each of the country, for here and for the UK, I just put this information on here so that I can just use one label. This is not necessarily required on all labels. This is the FDA disclaimer that says these statements haven't been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. I decided to include it on my product, even though it's a skincare product, because it has vitamin E in it, and I was promoting it as a vitamin E product. If you were just to sell some, a moisturizer with SPF in it that you use for sun protection, you're not going to use this. You're not going to need this disclaimer here with this box printed just like this. The main thing in here is this product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, mitigate, or prevent any disease. And I didn't want, just because it said vitamin E, like I said, that sounds medicinal. It's a supplement. It's a supplement that you can take by your mouth as well as use topically. And I didn't want to have any problems, so I just put that on there to be safe. So you don't need this if you don't have anything that's questionable. I just wanted to err on the side of doing too much, just trying to be safe rather than sorry. The other thing that you need in addition to the business information is an expiration date. So here's an expiration date for the product for this label. And you also, instead of an expiration date, you can also use one of those symbols that has the jar on it with the cap open and it says 24M on it. That means 24 months. So you can find one that says 12 months, 24 months, 36 months, whatever the amount of months is. And if I had to do it all over again, I would use that instead of this expiration date, because every year or 2 years, I would have to get completely new labels printed that had the expiration date that was moving up to 2023, 24, 25, just to make sure that the correct expiration date was on there. But if I had used a graphic instead, that graphic just shows that once you open the product, it's good for 24 months after that. Because we were always making the product, so it was freshly made, so it wasn't really a matter of, we weren't selling things from 5 years ago. So when you got it, it was going to be fresh, and then when you opened it, you had 24 months to consume it. I also made sure to put "Made in the USA" on the label because I wanted people to know that it was made here in the United States. It's one of the things people really look for when they're picking a skincare product. The first thing that people are cautious about is something that they put in their mouth, so food or something. And the second thing that they're cautious about is something that they put on their face. And so I wanted to make sure that people knew people really trust things that come from the U.S., and I wanted to make sure that they could trust the product. It's fine, you're buying a spatula or a basketball or something that comes from China. That's not that big a deal. Everyone understands. But if you want to put it on your face, then you want it to be a little bit more, you want to just trust the source where it came from. So this one, let me go on. So this is a bigger one before of it, same label before. I'll just show you. You'll notice here, this was the one that actually came out after that first one that did not have the logo on it. You'll notice that there's nothing red here, but I will go back up to this one just to show you. This is the last thing that I did. The last version is after a couple years, I wanted to give people a way to reorder the product easily and to incentivize them to do that, because after they threw when they got to the end of the bottle, I wanted them to come back for more because I really was counting on repeat customers. And so for this one, you'll see it says peel here for coupon code. So this was a special label that I got created after those others. And when you peeled it off here, there's a coupon code that it told you where to go. I think it was a QR code in there as well. And it gave you a coupon code to use when you got back to the site. So just a way to try to get people to, to come back and buy more. The hardest part is getting a customer for the first time. I always call customers clients because I think them more as just customers. I want to really take care of them. And when you call someone a client, that makes you feel like you have to take care of them. So that's what I try to do with my clients, customers, And so the hardest part is getting a customer the first time. And so after you have them, it's also the most expensive part, but after you have them, you want to make sure that you keep them as long as possible. And so this was a little something that I try to use to increase my repurchase rate. Let's see what we got. So we had that one. And then here, I'll just show you real quick. This was something back from a while ago, but I wanted to show you the pricing for these labels. So after I got the label designed, I needed to find a printer who would print it and send the labels to my manufacturer. And here I just wanted to show you that don't count on these because it's all kinds of different information here. This one is printed in 3 colors, the size, the application, things like that, and whether you get it laminated or semi-gloss. Skincare products usually need some sort of lamination over them because they come in contact with either the oil from the serum itself or they're in the bathroom and they get wet or in the shower. So you really do want to make sure that it's laminated. But all these things are different prices, and you'll just need to make sure that you discuss that with your label printer when you reach out to them. But just in terms of the price, you'll see that here you get 1,000 labels for 500 and wait, that's 732. And so I really want you to just take a look at the prices and see how little change there is when you go up in quantity. So this is the non-recurring preparation charges, $150 and $80 for the artwork. So that's a total of $230 just for that, to set up the plate and for the artwork that they had to do. And so you'll see here though, with 1,000 labels, it's $732. For 2,000 labels, so another 1,000 labels, it's only another $11. And then when you go up to another 1,000, it's only another, public math here, but another, not even $9 difference. So you just need to find, because a lot of the charges, because once they set up everything, just running them, the cost of the label itself is not very much. So you just need to find the right balance in here between how many you need. It's a little bit trickier at the start because you're not selling much and you haven't sold much yet. But then as you can really see that up here, 5,000 labels, 10,000, 20,000 labels, the difference is very, very small. So just a little something to show you so that you can have an idea of your costs when you do this. And in the resource document that I'll tell you about in just a second, if you haven't heard about it already, I'll make sure and include the label printers that we work with. You reach out to them, get your labels printed with them, and then they mail them directly to our manufacturing plant so that we can apply the labels for you as the product comes off the line. So you don't have to receive the labels and then mail them to us. We just get them directly. So I hope this was helpful for you. If I just mentioned to you, but if you have not, head over to theskincaresherpa.com and you can put in your email address. I will shoot you over this resource list that I just mentioned. It's a living document where I will list all the things that I've been talking about in these videos. And from this one, I'll give you the names and contact information for the label printing companies that we work with. And they've worked well for us. And like I said, they'll send the labels directly to us so that you don't have to be bothered. So that's at theskincaresherpa.com. If you are watching this on YouTube, please hit that like button so that you can help me spread the word about these videos. And then step on that subscribe button as well so that you can be notified when I release additional videos. I'll be doing these regularly, documenting my journey of the skincare brand that I've started and that I'm in the process of starting. So I'd love for you to follow along, watch me, and use it to help you grow your skincare brand. So with that, let's